Today, we're going to talk about something really important, something that's hitting close to home in South Korea. We're calling it justice for the intimate. So, let's get right to it. It all starts with this incredibly tragic court case out of Jeonju. A man was found guilty of assaulting his girlfriend, assaults that sadly led to her death. And when the court upheld that conviction, it did way more than just close a legal file. It basically tore open a huge, painful debate across the entire country. And that's because this isn't just about one heartbreaking story. It's a sign of a much bigger systemic problem. We're talking about a fundamental blind spot in the law. So what is this blind spot? Well, it all comes down to how dating violence is defined. See, in South Korea, that's an actual legal category. But here's the catch. It's almost always treated as a private matter. Why? Because there's no specific law that gives the authorities, like the police, a clear green light to step in. And this really gets to the heart of the issue. On one hand, you have how things are now. It's seen as a private dispute. That means the police can't really do much unless the victim explicitly asks them to punish the abuser. The whole system just kind of assumes it's a personal thing between two people. But what people are fighting for is to move it over to the other column, to treat it as a public crime. That would mean the state could step in before things get worse, because it's seen for what it is, a threat to public safety. Okay, so that's the legal jargon, but what does it actually mean for the people on the ground? You know, for the police officer showing up to a call, or for the victim who's in desperate need of help?
Yeah, let's talk about those real-world consequences, because this legal gap creates a system with some really serious limitations. The bottom line is police often have their hands tied. Because this is labeled a private dispute, when officers get to the scene, their authority is super limited. Think about it. They can't always separate the people involved, and they can't just issue a restraining order on the spot. All of that often depends on the victim formally pressing charges, which, as you can imagine, is an incredibly hard and sometimes dangerous thing to do right then and there. And that means there's no real chance for early intervention, no way to stop things before they spiral out of control. And we're not talking about just a few isolated incidents here. This legal gap is a persistent problem, and honestly, it's getting worse. The number of reported dating violence cases is going up and up all across the country. So the problem is growing, but the laws to deal with it, they're stuck in the past.
But, people aren't just sitting back and accepting this. There's a huge push for reform building up, and it's being led by advocates and experts who are all demanding new legislation. And who's leading this charge? It's a powerful coalition of voices. We're talking women's rights groups, legal experts, the people who truly get the dangerous dynamics at play here. And they are putting major pressure on lawmakers, basically saying, look, the system we have now is broken. The only way to fix it is with brand new comprehensive laws. So what would these new laws actually do? Well, it boils down to three really crucial things. First, they'd give police the power to step in earlier and be more effective. Second, they would provide much stronger, immediate protection for victims, things like restraining orders that don't require the victim to jump through a bunch of hoops. And finally, and this is so important, they would make it official. Violence between partners is not a private issue. It's a serious crime. Which brings us back to where we started, with this one massive question that hangs over every single one of these cases. With all these voices calling for change, getting louder and louder, will the system actually evolve? Are South Korea's laws finally going to be rewritten to truly protect the intimate?